Greetings my friends, how are you doing? This is Zed from Zed Outdoors. I hope you're having an awesome day. So once again I am in beautiful Edale in the north of England in the county of Derbyshire. This is in the Peak District, and I tell you what, you are reminded how stunning the Peak District is the moment you turn off the main motorway driving up from London. So this is Spoonfest 2016. Last year 2015 was the first Spoonfest I had attended, and I'm back for a second year. Can't get enough of this place, and this is a fantastic event. This is in essence the largest spoon gathering, carving gathering in the world, and like I said, it's in a stunning location. Another fantastic year in terms of the weather. The one thing in this video that I hope to document the Spoonfest gathering this year is the wind. There's a lot of gusty wind at the moment, so if you do hear throughout this video the wind noises on the microphone, I do apologise. There's nothing we can do. We're in a huge valley here and there's a lot of gusty winds, but I will do my best to kind of avoid that. So that is leading on to my second point, and that is I'm here to document this year's spoon carving gathering. People have attended from all over the world. There's a lot of experts here, a lot from the US this time around, and also from elsewhere in Europe and beyond that. So what I want to do in this video is going to bring you along in my time out here. This is a very informal video, and like I said, it will be a collage of different things that are going on, and it's just to kind of give you an insight, just to kind of give you a bit of a taster for what we're experiencing here. The one thing I'm looking to do is record a lot of shorter videos with some of the experts that are here as well. That's depending on time. So if you're subscribed to my channel, you can look out for them, and where I should be able to show certain skills in a lot more detail. But like I said, this particular video you're watching here is just to give you an overview of my time out. So this is the Friday morning. I got here yesterday. I'm here for 2 days. This runs for a third day, but I'm having to leave on a Saturday evening. So I hope you enjoy the rest of this video for Spoonfest 2016.
To be a first aider. We'd like it if you... Spoon carving is a folk art, we don't want folk surgeons or folk...
So then obviously the carvers will bend and then line it out.
Some of those old.
But what we'll do is just going to do it very carefully.
That might help to draw out a piece of paper first.
Yeah, you can do.
Cut these ones.
Get some gridded paper. And what I'll do is I'll do all the diagonal lines right way across the spoon. So the next line, so my band, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Jumped one.
sell it as your own design. But use that, just having that victim copy off, so that you can. It's much easier. You've got one just hold that and hold on the get that's the same. That's the same.
And then one nice big. Yeah. Nice bean veggies on the top. No.
Somebody doing everybody studies.
So here I am with a good friend of mine, Paul Adamson. How you doing, Paul?
I'm alright, mate.
Excellent stuff. So you're out to do a little carve, aren't you?
I am.
So
yeah.
what is the technique you're using here then?
So what I'm trying to do is make 2 scoops at the same time, and it looks a bit crazy, but the reason is I've got more to hold on to.
Right.
Doing the cranks,
Gotcha.
because I want it to be cranked, basically.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's a bit more stable. You can hit it a bit harder and do all this crazy stuff.
Right.
And then just to speed things up even more, I'm going to put these saw cut. Well, I'll put these saw cuts in, so I could just knock all these bits out here.
Gotcha. So basically you're, in essence, just trying to double the output, basically.
Yeah, just work faster. Yeah. Times money and all that.
That's it. That's what it's about.
Right, okay, so it's still really chunky and thick, and I've just got to sort of thin out some of this back bit and try and imitate the shape I've already carved in with the axe. So before I knock these out, basically it just makes it easier.
That's the quality to attack.
Sorry, forget your Zed.
That's it. Attacking the cameraman now.
So once you take some of this thickness out, now it's only that thick.
Right.
Once you start to achieve that where the saw cuts are, these bits just pop straight out. I'll take a bit more off first. Come the other way just in case I make a mistake. Right, let's start. Still gets a bit tight in there, so it's worth coming the other way when it does. That's the worst of it.
We were just talking about the same thing.
I've only just made it back down from the top. Went up and made a cup of tea after we went and did the spoon shop this morning. I'm only just drinking it now. I'm glad I made it in that mug.
See, this bit I struggle with. I'd always be doing stop cuts.
Yeah, I like avoiding stop cuts. just to be awkward, really.
It's just so you force yourself to be better with it.
Yeah, I used to always put saw cuts down here,
Right.
and now I just go until I think it's about there, and then the same that way. So that's pretty much there with the axe. I mean, I could carry on with it for a little bit longer, but
Right.
you know, the knife can still do a lot of heavy work if you really want it to. So sometimes you just need to stop so that you actually speed up.
Yeah.
So that's that one done.
When you're deeper, you can use it like that. And it's nice to have so much possibilities. No?
No, I'm going with mine. It was nice to try, really.
Yeah, it's how do you say, versatile? Yeah, it is.
Can't say something like that.
It's nice to stand up at a block because I've been sitting at them for a couple of days.
Do you normally sit down then when you're carving? Or
Never.
no?
I never sat down with an axe until 3 days ago. I always do this.
Is that a Nick Westerman axe or?
No, this is the Swedish fella's Svante Darva.
Ah.
Yeah, I have some of Nick's tools, but not his hatchet. I have to stop buying hatchets. Especially after what I said last night. That's it, we have enough tools.
The proof is there in front of 200 people. So do you teach back in Massachusetts, or are you?
Yeah, I teach. Mostly I'm a furniture maker.
Right.
I make furniture, I teach, I write, I
Right.
shoot videos, and things like that. And I've never made spoons out of these woods I'm seeing this week. You know? New stuff to me.
So you've got a nice cylinder of wood there. If you want to make it thinner at the end, so go into to make it thinner, do it.
Very
The main thing that I was practicing
getting master of the skews quite So I use a half-inch skew, but always one edge is rounded, so when you've got it point upwards like that, it rocks very nicely.
Has it got a flat? But yeah, I mean, flat. That's, you know, that sort of thing. And I know Cherry does some locking boxes. The one that made me have with it. Sliding up.
Basically trying to get towards the line before I start going deep.
I didn't think I was going to make it. My wife has a hen do, so if you're going to hen do, I'm not going to go back in the house. Actually, it was more like
It's one of the benefits of the Scorp is to be able to use that portion and have it supported by the other side.
Right.
So there are hook knives that will curl round, but then the tip will flex because it's got air the other side of it.
Right.
Whereas with a Scorp, you could literally use it nose down to go deep. There's a couple of shavings there, and then use either side of that to hollow out. And then you can see here I've just, by going deep and sort of here, I've got a little bit closer to the line.
Right.
So you leave a little bit, and then as you work down further, your tool will naturally catch the edge.
Gotcha.
And then the other advantage is not having to pick another tool up, literally just switch it round, and I'm going left-handed and hollow in left-handed, hollow in with the other side, but plus the tip, and then switch back to the right-hand stance. And this one's a little bit thinner than the standard Scorp,
Right.
and it turns really well.
And we thought to the bottom we would go. Then the skipper came on deck and he said, "Bloomin' heck." And Bailey's man put on his oilskin coat because he'd come to our decision, since we'd plenty of provisions, we was gonna take a record passage out. And the wind began to blow, and the ship began to roll, and devil of a hurricane did blow, oh yo, and it nearly knocked the stuffing from the good shipwreck and muffin, and we thought to the bottom we would go.
I've never applied to music.
Yeah.
a string of pearls that you can flaunt to the hawking girls.
Oh, you can give me a string of pearls that I can flaunt to the hawking girls, but I won't marry. I won't marry thee.
I'll give you the keys to my heart. Promise you will never part. Then will you marry? Then will you marry me?
You can give me the keys to your heart and promise me you'll never part, but I won't marry. I won't marry thee.
John Mulaney was a pitman, now he's fine and bold. He rescues cats and brings us wood, he truly has a heart of gold. Fare thee well, John Mulaney, fare thee well, I say. Fare thee well, John Mulaney, the man will go away. Steve Tomlin is an active chap, he's ready to stand still. He cards, he sighs, he dances too, and I hope he always will. Fare thee well, Steve Tomlin, fare thee well, I say. Fare thee well, Steve Tomlin, the man will go well. Tuck it away, John. Chainsaw benders, they like their roadkill too. If you are the spiritual mind, Martin's the one for you. Fare thee well, the Hazel brothers, fare thee well, I say. Fare thee well, the Hazel brothers, the man goes away.
they just wanted to do more.
The actual pattern itself is just 3 instruments long.
And I've made one of those 5 minutes. Take the load to start all the way round and don't cut one touch the top.
It's good to have a couple of people that know it. It really is. It really is.
Yeah, let's see the wrap around.
Bit of a bump.
Yeah,
Lots of sparks and
yeah.
flame. As long as the trees don't cut the wire and then sheep burn or anything like that.
No, it's one of my favourites. The whole thing is it's got a little satin.
This is a traditional method with cardboard.
Yeah.
It is.
Thank you.
It's like UV filter.
No, you've really done a benefit.
Just as you say, I would chamfer that whole corner before I tried to dress that. Drawing it towards me. I use
this cut just out on the finger, right? It's called yeah, you know that's
So you see how it was really hard at first because of the tool marks? Once you create your track, it's smooth. So now after watching it go with the grain, and once you get it started, it gets a little easier. So try this one. And now maybe you're still working on the top. Not too worried about the side surfaces. Yeah, okay, that fancy,
Okay, so you need to be cutting. Okay? So you always need to make sure that you're cutting so that you're not risking knocking out that little
So I'm with David Cockcroft at the moment. How you doing, David?
I am very well, thank you.
Excellent stuff. So I'm just looking to David, and he's come up with a solution for a sheath that you can make yourself relatively simply for your hook knives. And Dave's going to kindly show in video kind of how he goes about it. So what is the initial process that you go through, David?
Well, first thing, leather works best.
Yeah.
And the easy way to get leather is to go to a charity shop and ask them if they've got any old handbags out the back that they're not going to sell, and they'll, because if the lining's ruined or something, they'll just shift those for like 20p or something.
Right.
So you can pick up quite nice, reasonably thick, flexible leather is what you're looking at.
Okay.
So I've got a piece here, a couple of mil. This is more like suede than leather. This is from some old apron or something.
Right.
All right. The very thick leather doesn't work so well. But this is a template. Very little. So I draw around and mark my set of holes. And with a bit of fiddling, you'll work it out. But along this side, the holes are slightly wider spaced, and they're a bit tighter together.
Right.
And that, so it's kind of a kidney-shaped piece.
Right.
And then when you fold, and it comes over into hook knife shape.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Understand.
It's longer on that side, which is why the holes are further apart.
Right.
If that makes sense. Okay. And this leather's easy to cut with scissors. You don't need any fancy messing around with knives. It's just a big pair of kitchen scissors. Yeah, so it's kind of like a long oval that's a little bit bananaed. That's a kidney shape, maybe. And then I have a leather hole punch, but this leather's quite soft, this kind of thickness, and I think you could do it with one of those punches for punching paper even.
Right. You could use an awl technically, couldn't you, if you had to? An awl.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure there's loads of ways to improvise holes. You don't want to go out and buy a set of these things if you're not doing lots of leather work.
Okay, so David, all the holes are all punched now?
The holes are all punched, and there's 8 holes around the top here, 4 on each side. So, and then we're going to use the lace. This is a piece of leather lace, which I use because I can make it really easily with the lace making tool I've got.
Okay.
But you could equally well use an old shoelace or a piece of string. You don't have to have a leather lace necessarily for this. I just put a knot in one end, just a simple little knot, and pull it tight. And then this is the hook knife. It's going to go over, and the hook knife's going to fit in. So you've still got that.
Yep.
So I'm going to start here and just sew it up with this little bit of lace.
So you're going in the middle roughly, aren't you?
Going the lowest hole on the front, and the sharp side of the knife yeah, is going to go against the solid side, not against the lace side. Yeah. So I just check I'm going the right way. Then you go through to the back, through to the front. Little bit fiddly, but not too bad. And then the lace is long to come down to bend to fit over the hook knife shape.
So you take that through the bottom.
So like a little mouse with a tail.
Right.
Back through the bottom. And then your hook knife, this is a fairly shallow one, but this works equally well with ones with more curve.
Right.
Slides up in. Yeah, and you just feed it in and wrap.
Interesting.
Yeah. Tuck it under. Got it. Pull it through.
That is fantastic.
And it's fairly firm. And the sharp part there is all protected.
Right.
And that'll be safe in your tool bag now.
That is fantastic. I really appreciate you taking the time to share that, Dave. Your website, what is it, David?
DaveCockcroft.com.
DaveCockcroft.com. Thank you so much once again, Dave.
Okay,
Take
cheers.
care.
That's clean now. That's good. Right. This is the least brilliant. Right. Now it's clean.
Oh wow. That's amazing. Totally amazing.
There you go.
Totally amazing.
So we got a long, beautiful, useful lace from a relatively small piece of leather.
Blade and use the very tip to do the work. To me, that's, you've got a lot of weight hanging out the back, so I found that quite uncomfortable trying this. If you hold on to the handle of the blade itself, you've got a lot of leverage but very little control over what the tip's actually doing, which again I found quite frustrating trying to learn it that way. Some people will put tape around the blade just to make it that bit more comfortable, but it's not something I was particularly comfortable doing. Then I read a book by an American fellow who specialises in chip carving, and a lot of what he does is furniture, stool tops and boards that are going to get made into something bigger. So the benefit of that is you can hold a bigger knife like this and you use your thumb as a reference to present it at a certain angle. But you've got this reference point. What I found with a spoon handle is there's not so much of a surface to get a reference on. So you can kind of sit down and do it on a table and try, but because you've got an uneven surface, you're always coming in at a different angle. So I didn't find it particularly reliable. I found the blade really big, and as a mass-produced knife, it wasn't ground very well. So I started making my own little tools. This is what we generally call a sheep's foot style of knife. So I went about, I didn't need anything as big as that, so I went about making these little ones out of some silver steel, so they're just like a miniature version. If you look at the spines of them, one's thicker than the other. So to me, and from what I've read up, if you've got a standard knife, you've got a bevel that's cut here and you've got this flat section of the blade. With a chip carving knife, you don't want the bevel to change. You don't want this shoulder here if you get deep into a chip. So it should be sort of sabre ground, so all the way from the edge, all the way from the spine to the edge should be one flat surface for reference. That becomes important the deeper you get into the wood. And these are designed really around making these triangular chips. So it's a small enough crowd, I can probably just show you all close up. I was going to draw it out on the blackboard, but where I'm looking at doing these chips, you've got the grain direction. So I will start at the tip of the outside and just push the blade in until it reaches this back edge where the straight grain is. That's put a cut that's basically gone from this point to this point and to the middle of that triangle. Then I'll come back from this point to this point and again push it in at an angle, and this angle set back what probably wants to be about between 30 and 45 degrees, depending on how deep you want the chip to be. but you want to try and maintain that angle. So I'm doing that by how far off the table my little finger is basically, and just to maintain that. So having cut this one first, you kind of put a stop cut in from this point down, so when I come back this way I can kind of feel when I've hit that first cut, and hopefully the tip of the blade is finished in the same place. So then when I turn around and come for this longer cut with the grain, it should be a bit easier because it's with the grain, and I'm just going to push it down, and again I can kind of feel when that gets to the bottom. I've not got right over this, so I'm not really looking at it properly, but what you should find is hopefully it pops out, in 3 cuts it should come out, which it hasn't this time. So I've obviously not quite met in the middle, so that's not the best example. I normally do this on a lower surface, so I'll try again. I would normally go along and do all of one cut first. So for all of these inside ones, I'd go along and keeping the knife at the same angle, just keep pushing it in, following those lines. And as you can see, there's no dragging of the blade, I'm just literally pushing it in, and because it's so fine it goes in quite easily. Come back this way until I meet that first cut at the same angle, right into the middle. And then when I come back round from this direction, this is more of a draw, just pushing it in, and there you go, there's your little tiny prism of wood that just comes out. And that way, if you get it in 3 cuts, these aren't going to be the neatest because the light's not very good and I'm not really right over the work, just to try and show you what's happening. But when you come back for the reverse cut, you've got to be really careful. You're going to have a fairly thin wall between the two, so you've got to be a bit more careful not to basically break down that wall. So again, the same thing applies. I'm going to come away from the point.
This is a more brush knife than about 2018. I've just cut the back out so you can go around the front a bit. And then because Sean's knife pliable, the hollow ground ones. So, I don't know. It's a nice bit of tree. Let's hope I don't turn it into firewood. Being mean.
Yeah.
Being mean.
We're going to go and get our sleeping bags in a minute.
I haven't even started messing about with the hook yet on the back. That's going to be another load of fun. There's a really important topic.
I have to go down to this block. It's a little bit low for me. So if I was axing a piece of wood like this is, I'm having to go down a little bit. I might just want to be here, ever so slightly higher, but I can easily move my hips to get in position there. Okay. And another thing is there's different ways of doing this, and Fritjof, who inspired me a lot back in the very first Spoonfest when I did a similar talk, and he also did workshops and this stuff. Fritjof is like this it's kind of like an old-fashioned martial arts stance, and I'm not so keen on this. We had some discussions about it, just because it makes your pelvis very fixed. It's actually very hard for me to move my foot and adjust myself when my feet are far apart. Whereas if I'm like this, I can adjust and move much more freely. Okay, so a boxer doesn't go into the ring like that. A boxer will have feet close together and dance around and move quickly. So you should be like that around the block, I think. Have a lot of freedom to move your feet and your hips. So I would advocate you putting your feet a bit close together and always have the back leg bent, because if your back leg is really straight, you just make yourself a bit more rigid. Whereas here I can move a little bit. Now, to be honest, I don't. Fritjof viewed the whole axing process as like a gym workout, and you get really into it. I mean, I don't do that. The most movement I'll have is the ever so slight in my hip. I'm not going to go crazy with making it a workout. You solve a lot of issues with other tendons. Basically, when you grasp, look, that movement happens in my wrist. So an efficient grasp requires this movement to be really good and smooth and controlled. Okay? So, you know, you can do all this finger stretching and everything in all directions, but if you don't have that really good solid range of motion there, that's where problems can happen. So that's why it's the one stretch I really get people to do. Now, you shouldn't be doing it just in a really passive manner. You should be doing it where you're actually, the muscles are engaged when you do it. So the optimum movement for this is a handstand. Okay, so I'm not saying everyone should be doing a handstand, but when you do a handstand, if you've ever tried doing handstands, practice doing them, they kill your wrists. That is where all the pressure is. That's where you develop the most. So someone who can do a handstand has developed a lot of control in the forearm muscles, and they've developed this really good range of motion in the wrist.
And a push-up position?
Push-up is similar, but in a push-up, let's say your wrist isn't quite there, you can go to here.
No, I don't mean to actually do a push-up, but just to
okay,
stand,
so I'm going to give
do
some alternatives to the stand-up, to the handstand. So the easiest would be to just say stand by a chopping block like this. So let's say your wrist isn't great, and that's all the range of motion you've got. That's fine. You just go to there and off, and just move like that. And the more confident you get with it, you can apply your body weight. So eventually you could be really stretching it very strongly under body weight, or balancing between two counters, or even two chairs, and just really applying your weight. And that's just so good for your wrists. It's like a really important movement. If you think of, if you look at a gymnast or the kind of optimum sort of yoga, someone who's very, very experienced, very physically fit, when they do a backward roll, they'll plant their hands on the ground and protect their head, and it's that wrist movement. I'm trying to think of examples. There are multiple examples. If you're trying to do a muscle up on rings, you have to have that range of motion. There's many kind of key movements that are very difficult to achieve if you don't have that range of movement. I only struck on a year ago or something, when I was in, compared to that, it's pretty big. It's quite good for your pelvis and lower back. So that's a really useful little tip that I've come across. Just put your foot on something. You'll have pieces of wood all over the place. Even because look, all I'm gaining in height is that much. So a little thing makes all the difference. And then you're there, and it gets your head a bit closer and solves that sight issue and everything. You can see that really high.
Money goes in the bowl at the end.
All goes to charity, all profits go to charity, to a lovely charity called Practical Action. Yeah.
Other person just gonna finish it. And then Zach.
You were afraid that it was a bit thin.
So yeah, if you ever want to do a Kuxa trade,
Yeah, definitely.
It'd be so cool to have work from somebody else.
A lot of people in the house like this. Same to the other people for their spoon.
I didn't try to ask my house. It really is.
Yeah, broke it.
I saw that. Yeah. You know, it's funny. I'm trying to learn to get over the fact that
I love that. I love that.
They're
So guys, there you go. That is a wrap for this year's Spoonfest. Look at the bags under my eyes. I've had very, very late nights, very early mornings, but in a good way. I've had such a fantastic time. It's Saturday evening now. We're all chilling out. We've had a bit of pizza, as you do, fresh cooked in the oven that they've made here at the Spoonfest location. And it's Saturday evening and I've got to head back to London. That's it. I've got a family commitment to get back to, and I'm gutted. I really wish I could have stayed all the way till the end of Sunday evening. But such is, I'm grateful that I have had the time here. I've met with a lot of my peers in the woodworking community and those outside of it. And all in all, I've had such a great time. If I met you in person, thank you for coming over and saying hello. It was great to meet you. And for those of you that didn't, there were so many people here, it was very difficult. For those of you watching at home who have not attended Spoonfest, I tell you what, I highly recommend it. I get nothing from recommending it, apart from the fact I've had such an amazing time here this year and the year before. Needless to say, I've taken a lot of photos of my time here at Spoonfest, and for that what I've done is I've published them on my fan page. To access that, click the link below and you get taken to the Facebook page where you can see all the photos. Secondly, I've written a blog post about my time here. Once again, you can click the link below this video, you can go check that out. I'm also going to put a link to the Spoonfest event itself. If ever you're interested next time round, which I highly recommend you do, I thoroughly recommend you check the site out and you join us next year. The location is one of the best I have been to in the United Kingdom, and honestly you are not going to meet a much nicer group of people than here at Spoonfest. Look at that. It should be called a Love Fest, that's what it should be called. Spoons and love. That's it. Perfect combination. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, it's very patchy because I want to give you a flavour, of everything that's going on, and there's so much going on that I just could give you little snippets. So I hope you enjoy your time out, and as always, until the next time, this is Ed from Z Outdoors. Peace out.